Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this lovely classic twisted rib hat. I'm going to be using a 5 pocket weight yarn and a 6.5mm knitting needle. The written pattern contains instructions to 5 different sizes. The link will be in the description box. And also you find links to materials you're going to need to make your hat in the description box too. And please, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and check out my other videos. Let's get started. Tutorial, we're going to be using a set of double pointed needles or cable needles. That is, if you're a magic loop knitter. I prefer to knit magic loop, so I'm going to be using cable needles. And we're going to be casting on 80 stitches for size adult medium, and we're going to be using long tail cast on method. And obviously, as the name implies, you have to leave a long tail when you cast on stitches. And there's a way I measure how much tail to leave. I do this by winding the yarn. Like, say I'm going to be casting on 80 stitches, so I'm going to wind the yarn 80 times on the needle. I'm going to be casting the stitches on, and then measure the length of yarn it takes to wind 80 times, and then I'm going to add a few extra inches, sorry, just to be safe. And then that's going to be the tail I'll leave for my cast on. So to cast on, we're going to be casting on knotless, which means we're not going to be making any starting slip knot. So place this is the yarn coming from the ball, and this is the tail. So you place your your needle like so, and then we're going to rotate clockwise direction. So this is your first stitch. Then to cast on the second stitch, we're going to go under this strand of yarn coming from your thumb, create a loop, and then pull this strand of yarn, release, and then pull, not too tight. You've casted on your second stitch. So cast on the third stitch, go under this, create a loop, and then pull this through the loop, release, and pull. So we're going to continue and cast on a total of 80 stitches. And just a pro tip, what I do is I attach a stitch marker after every 20 stitches casted on. So if I cast on 20 stitches, I attach a stitch marker, I slip a stitch marker, so that if I lose count, I can easily go back and get myself right. So I'm done casting on stitches. Obviously this is an 80, but just to show you guys what I did. And we're going to join to work in the round, so make sure your stitches untwisted on the needle. So make sure they're untwisted on the needle. So I'm going to set up to knit magic loop. So this is what I do. I'm going to pull this a little, and then okay, so this is set up. Then these ones, still make sure stitches aren't twisted. So then pull this. Okay, so make sure your stitches untwisted. So double check, make sure they are not twisted. So I've double checked mine untwisted. So we're going to be working twisted rib, which basically means knitting and purling through the back loop. So I'm going to knit the first stitch through the back, so then knit 1. So I made a mistake. I'm going to slip the stitch back. So you're supposed to slip a stitch marker to mark the beginning of a row. So to knit the first stitch, remember we're knitting through the back loop and then pull. So we've knitted our first stitch. So the second is going to be a purl. So we're going to be purling through the back loop. So yarn, and then go, and then pull. So the next stitch is going to be knitted. So through the back. Next is going to be purled. So next is going to be knit. Sorry. Next is going to be purled. So knit through the back and then purl through the back, yarn in front, then through the back loop of the stitch, wrap yarn, and then pull. So we're going to continue working in a round until the piece measures 8 inches, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can begin decreasing for the crown. Show you guys how to knit and purl through the back loop a bit more slowly. To purl through the back loop, yarn in front and then insert your needle into the back loop of back leg of the stitch and wrap yarn around and then pull. As you can see, it twists the stitch. To knit through the back, yarn back, insert your needle into the back leg of the stitch, and then to purl, yarn in front, insert the back loop, wrap yarn, and then pull. To knit, to purl, to knit, to purl, to knit. So basically, we're going to continue until the piece measures 8 inches in length, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can start decreasing for the crown. I'm at the end. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be decreasing 2 stitches. So we're going to be decreasing through the back. So 3 stitches. We're going to insert our hook. 1, 2, and then then 3. So I have my 3 stitches. So we're going to knit through the back, and we're going to slip the 3 stitches of our hook. So we've decreased 2 stitches. So we're going to continue then knit and purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So once we have 13, we're going to insert our stitch marker. Then we're going to repeat what we just did. Going to stitch marker, then we're going to be decreasing 3 stitches. So insert your hook, second, and then the third. So 3 loops on a hook. Then you're going to knit this through the back. So it's going to be hard but bigger, and then so we've knitted. So we're going to repeat until we get to the beginning of the row. I'm at the end of the round. If you check, you should have 5 stitch markers: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for round 2, slip your stitch marker, and then we're going to knit and purl all the way around, and I'll meet you guys back for the next step. So I'm at the end of this round. Next step would be to repeat the last 2 rounds until we have just 20 stitches remaining. The last 2 rounds being the first round, where we knit 3 together through the back loop before every stitch marker, and then the next round will be to just knit and purl through the back loop all the way across, and I'll meet you guys back so we can work. Okay guys, so welcome. So what we are going to do now is we are just going to remove all the stitch markers, and then what we're going to do is we're going to knit 1, and then and then we are going to K3 together till the end. Till the end of the row, and then remove your stitch marker. Then repeat the sequence where you knit 1 and then K3 together all the way around. Okay guys, so I'm back and then I'm done. So the next step would be to cut tail with the scissors. I think this should be a good enough length, so just cut. Oh god. Okay, then we're going to thread this into this. So okay. Oh no. Okay, so threaded. Okay, so once we've threaded this, remove the stitch marker, and then we are going to go remove, and then we're going to go through all the stitches. So do this and this and this. Okay, so once you do that, remove the knitting needle. Okay, so remove that. Okay, and next up, turn your work and go through the stitches. So go through, through. Once you have it, slip one needle, and then that's it. So once you have it, then pull tight. So can you guys see it's covered? So next up, so this is going to be the back of my work. If you want this to be, this is going to be the wrong side of my work. So if you want this to be the right side of your work, weave this into the back and then weave it in. But I want this to be the back. So next up, what we're going to do is that we're going to go back and we're going to pull tight, and then we're going to weave this in through the stitches by going, by going back and forth and pulling tight, just to make sure that this is secure. And okay, go back and forth and pull tight, just so it doesn't come apart, especially since we're not going to be adding anything to. Okay, pull tight, and then so at this point this is secure, so you can now go ahead and weave this into stitches and then cut your yarn.